Uh,
Okay, now that we have sort of that context in mind, I just wanted to ask you guys, what are some of the pressures that you guys face both like internally and externally, be it from family, friends, or even battling some like preconceived notions or stigmas when you guys were choosing like a particular post-secondary education to pursue, or now that you're, sort of in a career already or targeting to go in a particular career?
yeah, I mean, I can speak to that a little bit. I come from a background of like people who were pretty educated, I'd say. So my both my parents actually went to medical school. Like both my grandparents were have university degrees and stuff. So I come from that background that's very very like educated. So my parents always instilled this value into my head where it's like education is one of your top priorities. Like your dean and your education are very very high when it comes to priority. So there was a lot of pressure there, trying the bar was set really high, especially with them being immigrants coming and settling here, and the way they've made it, regardless of all of the hurdles that they've had to jump over. The bar has been set. So when I was choosing an institution to go for my post-secondary education, I think prestige was definitely a factor that came into it. So I chose to go to the University of Toronto because it's one of the highest ranked schools in the world, and it definitely has that brand name that comes aside it. And my brothers and my sister as well also went to pretty prestigious educational institutions as well. So just being the youngest of four siblings, I felt that there's that pressure from both my parents and my siblings. But I feel like there's more to that, but I think the brand name was the biggest factor when it came to choosing my post-secondary education and just raising the bar, or just trying to pass that bar that my parents and my siblings have set for the family.
So did you ever consider like an alternative career path that was possibly like either you shut it down because of like all these high expectations, or did someone like overtly just shut it down before you decided to pursue like, or business and management consulting?
Yeah, absolutely. So my parents always wanted me to be like a lawyer. I never wanted myself to like be in that like cutthroat workhorse environment where you're kind of getting swamped in paperwork and stuff. It's a great career field. It pays well. It's really, really gratifying. But I just didn't think it was for me. And I really like business a lot more than law in my opinion. And then obviously both my parents went down the medical path. So there's also that kind of unspoken pressure to become a doctor and to follow their footsteps. But from a very young age, biology just didn't interest me at all. And then engineering and business was kind of like the leftover out of the two, out of the four fields that you're allowed to go down. So I ended up just choosing business because I felt that I was more interested in it than physics and chemistry and that sort of thing.
My journey is a little bit different to Emad's. I come from a family of seven, and I'm number six in the family. And so the first five, I call them my brothers and sisters, didn't go to university. And my father's really, really big on education, and so is my mother. But they didn't go. They chose to go down the business path and the trade path and have their own sort of, they have their own success in their own right. And so when it came to me, I actually didn't want to go to university. I didn't want to study. I wasn't that child at school that cared about grades or marks or tests. Actually, it was more, I don't know, this is really strange that I'm a teacher and I'm a writer now, but I was the kid, the cheeky kid playing pranks or just going to school to hang out with my friends. I was the kid that wanted to study or read or do any of that stuff. And I didn't have that pressure like Emad, to have parents who have, education and it's in the family. It's not in my family. But my father, like I said, was big on education and pretty much said to me, I would really love for one of seven to actually go to university. And he gave me those soft eyes, those puppy dog eyes. And I was like, fine, okay, I'll go. That was my journey to university. There was no sort of pressure, so to speak. The choice was mine at the end of the day, but highly encouraged. My father really instilled in me the idea that a woman should be independent, particularly financially independent, with Islamically, unfortunately, the divorce rate in our communities isn't the best. It's spiking pretty much, and he doesn't believe that a woman's worth is based on a man. So if the relationship were to break up, what am I going to do? How am I going to support myself? So my father really said to me that my purpose should be found outside of a man, outside of a job. It should be, I should be able to stand on my 2 feet. And especially in the harsh environment, particularly the world that we live in surrounding Muslim women, visibly Muslim women, it's difficult to live. And so my father said, if you have a degree in your hand, you dictate your life and nobody can tell you where to come and where to go. This is yours. And so that was my journey into university. There wasn't any pressures, but I did feel the idea that I wanted to make my parents proud. The 4 years that I was there, I didn't really like it much. And this is really strange. Though I didn't grow up with the culture of getting married because my sisters were older in age when they got married, but I wanted to get married. I was like, oh, I finished school at 20 or whatever it was. I was like, oh, I want to get married. And my dad's like, the only way you can get married is once you have that degree, and then I don't care afterwards what you do. So it's really strange that the patriarchal system in the Arab world, my father broke all that sort of stereotype and was like, no, men are, sometimes great and sometimes they're not, but you should have that degree. You should have some independence to dictate where you want your life to go.